Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici. Welcome my friends. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to my channel. And that channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. Yes, indeed. Welcome to another recap, folks. Got a great show for you today. I'm going to try to be as efficient as possible because we've got a lot of ground to recover, as they say, or a lot of ground to cover. And, I realize that these recaps, I just have so much to say, so much stuff that I received, that if I'm going to show you everything all at once, it's going to take hours and hours and hours, already too long as it is. So we're going to try to be lean and mean as much as possible. Having said that, there's some interesting stuff that I have to propose for you. So Fountain Pen Therapy presents the recap, the weekly recap for September 21, 2025. Stay tuned. Okay, so first segment, what's new in the market in terms of pens, inks, anything that I was able to find that attracted my attention when I surfed the internet almost daily and many hours during the day, not only for my own pleasure, but also to kind of feed this segment of the recap. Let's take a look. We'll go to my computer and we shall see what's out there. Okay. First thing that I'd like to mention is this pen is attractive. It's a Hero 1086 with an adjustable nib hardness. What is it? I think it's the Pilot Justice, if I'm not mistaken, that does have that feature. So that's an interesting. I may very well end up buying that pen. So it caught my eyes. Another Hero pen is this one that's caught my eyes. It's the, I guess it's the E505A. I think I saw even an E555. It's kind of this swirlish design. And I've always meant to, start buying some Hero pens. I understand that their nibs are very good. And I don't see why I should not be adding them to my Chinese pen collection. So that's another one that I looked at. What else do I have here? Oh, just to mention that Mahjong is selling now this key that opens up the number 8 nib for the 139, the 140, and the 141. So if you're interested in that and need it, there you go. They also are selling some, I guess it's special lubricant for those. The pens have that piston, and I guess this is the lubricant that goes with it. There's a new AdMach on the block. It's this kind of pocket pen. So notice that it's got a Schmidt number 5 nib as well. So those nibs, as you saw from last week's, pen or pens for the week, and this week's currently inked, which we'll show you in a minute. So there you have it, a new AdMach offering. There is this 1866. I didn't realize that the 1866 came in that blue wood, as you can see right here. I believe I have this lighter version. I think I saw this darker wood version, but I'd never seen this blue. So that could be interesting, especially if you have not yet ordered one of these pens. I really recommend. They're talking about that new soft elastic number 6 nib. I think they're talking about that new generation of Andean nibs. They're talking about a blade nib as well. I'm not sure which one that is, but it could be the one that has kind of an architect grind. They don't show the nibs here. Maybe they show them in the description. This one here is the old style nib. Yeah, see, this is the old style nib, and maybe they're referring to that new one. Let me just see. I keep going. No, they don't appear to show what the other nib is all about. When I click on Blade F, it doesn't give me any more information. But maybe some of you know which nib they're referring to. But in any event, what interested me was the wooden barrel, but in blue, which I thought was interesting. Next, Atlas Stationers is selling this Midori A6 notebook. It's kind of a daily diary. I thought that would be fun, especially for those who want to write their diaries on a daily basis. Midori, excellent paper. So I thought I'd mention it. The price a little steep. It's $101 Canadian. But like many things, everything's a little more expensive this year. What else have I got? Leonardo appears to have come up with new furores. I don't know why they're new. I think they've got a slightly different shape, but they're still that kind of pointed cylinder cigar shape. The Furore is an excellent, excellent pen. And look at that. They're going for 136. That's 136 euros, roughly $140 US. I think that's a great buy. So anybody who's interested in Leonardo pens and don't have a Furore in their collection, take a look at that. The 136 price I've seen on Casa della Stilografica. I know there are other sites are still selling at the full price, which is 151 euros. So take a look at this one because it does have this 10% online only discount. Now, what else have I got? Oh, Scribo's got a new La Dotta, beautiful pen. They're introducing this pen. I think it only has like 70 or 68 sampling, but they're introducing it in a special handwriting show that's being held in Bologna. And it's what they call a graphological analysis of your handwriting from the Italian Graphological Association. And if you buy one of these pens, and it's a bit cheaper than other La Dottas, you can send in a sampling of your handwriting. They will analyze the handwriting and send you back an answer. I thought that was interesting. You know, I would love to be there in person. The pen is gorgeous. Take a look at this. Maybe I will put this up on in the description. It gives you more details if you're interested. In terms of other writing instruments, I found this. It's a Japan import, this Zebra Tech two-way mechanical pencil, which apparently is brand new. And I found this on one of the Asian YouTube reviews that I'm going to mention in my YouTube section. Looks like a very interesting mechanical pencil. It comes in the silverish and red many colors. I love this black version. I'm sure they sell, this is the Japanese site or maybe even Korean site, but I'm sure they offer the same pen on Amazon, either .com or .ca. And lastly, but not least, Magna Carta has come out with a new model for their flex nib. It's the Magna Carta MST, and with this opal finish, and it's only available, it's an endless exclusive, but I thought I mentioned that. Price a little steep at $687. If you're just interested in that Mag 600 nib, I think the Mag 600 these days is going for a lot cheaper. But if you are interested in this pen, it's completely different from the Mag 600. So it's got a different shape, different resin, etc. And you may want to take a look at that. So there you have it for what's new in the market. And you know what? Let's see what's new in the fountain pen therapy studios. Stay tuned. Okay, so for this next segment, we're going to take a look at what's new in the fountain pen therapy studios. What have I got to propose to you in terms of paper, ink, and pens? Start with the paper. Be right back. Okay, for the paper, I mentioned to you I'm going to do a comparison between the new HOBONICHI 2026 and the Kimbor, the Chinese version of this, or the Chinese clone of this, very popular agenda planner, so to speak. But I figured I'd give you a look at what it looks like and compare it to the HOBONICHI with that original Tomoe River paper. This one has Sanson, but a corrected Sanson. I know last year HOBONICHI had all kinds of problems. They weren't the only ones, by the way. I remember buying a notebook from Galen Leather with that new Sanson Tomoe River paper, and it was a disaster. And I know a lot of people complained last year, but from what I understand in looking at other reviews and doing some reading, HOBONICHI did reach out to the manufacturer of that paper, and they made sure that this year there is no bugs. And I think it was a bad batch, but and some people had the good and some people had the bad. But having said this, this should be okay this year. But I figured I'd give you a look and try to compare the two. Now, I'm not going to do a detailed review of this notebook in terms of what it offers. How I use it is on a daily basis. I really use the daily pages, if you will. But there are at the beginning, there are like weekly, monthly. There's all kinds of tidbits. What's nice about this one is that it's color coded, so every month's got a different code, a different color with the number. So 7 stands for July, and etc. etc. 9 is for September. Really, really nice. This is the full version, so you got the entire year here. I think you can get them in 6 months and 6 months. I chose this full one. Now, will this be my going journal or planner for 2026? The verdict's still out. I'm going to compare it to Kimbor. But given what I paid for this thing, which is almost like $90 Canadian by the time it got here, I think I'm probably going to go with the HOBONICHI, and I'll reserve Kimbor for some other purposes, unless Kimbor paper kind of surprises me and I prefer the other one. We'll take a look, but the verdict's still out. We've got to do some swatching and compare with the original Tomoe River. We'll do some writing on this new notebook, and you know what? We'll make a decision eventually, especially after I do the comparison with the Kimbor. So without any further ado, I'm going to set up the inks, and we're going to take a look at how this new notebook performs. Okay, for the ink, here's what I have to propose for you. I've got 6, including this one, 6 new Leonardo inks. Beautiful packaging. It's got kind of a Picasso motif. We're going to do this one. This black one I got in one of the boxes that had one of the pens that I purchased. So it came with the black, and I believe this is the new one, just because the bottles are different from the old. So today we'll review black, blue black, and emerald blue, if you will. Okay, and next week we'll do the Asa blue, the Noce Moscata, which is a brown essentially, and the Verde Foresta, which is a green ink. So we'll take these 3, put them away until next week, and we'll concentrate on these 3 and do some swatching and comparisons. Here are the notebooks. Okay, I've chosen 2 pages, which is this turning the page to a new year. So we'll do the swatching here and then maybe some of the writing on the other one, just because I don't want to start my new year without on the new one right away. So we'll use some of the pages that I know I will never use again in any event. Okay, so here we are. We'll take my tools, which is this folded pen that I always use for the swatching. And if you guys saw my dip pen review of depends. This is my favorite. It's the Okoro, Sailor Okoro with the feed. It's got to have the feed. Without the feed, I think it's useless. And it writes really nicely. It was donated to the channel by a very, very kind viewer. That viewer sent me not only this Okoro, but also that beautiful Delta Napoli. Thank you again. Much appreciated. I'm sure that viewer is watching. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so let's get the show on the road. We'll do black first. Okay, black. We'll do some bigger swatches just because we only have 3 inks. So let's just get it, yeah, nice and big. That way we'll really get a good idea of what this ink can do. Here we go. So we'll wash that out. That's the black. We'll dip to do some writing. So this is the Leonardo. I'm a little uncomfortable the way I've placed myself. Black. And that's the Leonardo. Black. Just so that I keep track. This is the new? Yeah. This is the, so I'll put here 2026. And I will put here 2021, so I know it's the old. Okay. So that's black. We'll wash that nib out nicely. Cap it before I make a mess. Take out the black blue, or the blue black. It's actually blue black is the right description. Oh yeah, very nice. Very nice. We'll wash that out. And we'll do some dipping for the pen. So this is the Leonardo. This pen is perfect. Blue, black. It's got a little spring to it, so I get a little bit of flex, and I also get Leonardo. I also get a stub. So, best of both worlds. There we go. We'll wash that out. Close that. Put that back in the box. The boxes are beautiful. I think I'm going to leave these inks, these new inks in the boxes, at least for a little while until I get fed up. But it's novel, so I like to keep the boxes when they're nice. This is the emerald. So the emerald is kind of a, it's not quite a, it's a little greener than turquoise, or maybe this is turquoise. I always, yeah, you see, it's kind of marine color. Similar to the marine Robert Oster, I would say. That was the last week's ink, I believe. Here we go. So I'm done with that. We will dip this. So this is Leonardo Emerald. And I can tell you that the new one has a little more feedback. And we know that the Sanson is just slightly rougher than the original. So, and this, 2026 version is no exception. So there you have the 3 inks. I think they're 3 excellent inks so far. We'll give them a chance to dry, and then we'll come back and do a more detailed comparison of the 2 notebooks and the swatches on the 2 notebooks. In the meantime, we'll do some writing on this new notebook just to get a sense of feel of how real fountain pens feel. Okay, so we're back. The inks have dried up, and we can now take a look at how both papers perform. I think pretty even. On the black side, you can see the black, that Leonardo black's kind of got a brownish sheening effect, against the light, but very nice. They're both pretty equal, I would say to you. The same thing goes for the blue black. It's got some shading and some red sheen that I can see on both. I find that the 2026 version, the dark blue is a little bit darker. Everything is a little bit sharper. And I find a little more sheening on the emerald than I do on the original, which is what they say. Sanson gives you maybe the inks stand out just a little bit more than they do in the original Toma River. But again, that kind of scratchy surface is something that I don't appreciate, but that others do. But it's still an excellent quality paper in my view. Nothing beats Toma River, whether it's Sanson or the original. So there you have the ink samples, nice and dry, a comparison, and of course we'll take a look at how pens write on these notebooks in the coming segments. Stay tuned. Okay, before we get to the pens, I almost forgot. I got a really special surprise for you. This, in my view, is a luxury product. I hesitated when I pulled the trigger just because of the cost, but it was so. I saw it on Doodlebud. They did a complete review. He got it for free, of course. I had to spend almost $200 to $300 for it, but here it is. It's a Japanese product called LIEBE, and it is a beautiful, beautiful pen case. It's all this material is all in Japanese. I'm going to try to get it translated because I have no idea what they're saying in there. This came very nicely packaged. Of course, I'm going to spare you the unboxing just because I don't have time, and I want to make sure I get everything in that I need to get in. But here is beautiful. It goes this way. There's LIEBE written there. It smells really nice. You've got a combination of leather and some of that, I guess, the dye on this pen. First thing that I notice is that apart from it being so soft and really high quality leather, the zipper is also very nice. It's one of these big zippers, which is not, works really nicely and is not going to break or untangle easily. And then the inside, take a look at that. Isn't that nice? Really, really nice. Well done. It comes in different models. The one I hesitated with, first of all, there's one that's tan, but I chose black, and I'll explain to you why in a second. One version has the 6 pen. This is actually not 6. This is 10, 5 on each side. One of them has the side with the 5 pens, and on the other side you can put kind of a notebook and maybe even place for cards and some pens. I chose the pens because I don't put my journals typically in this kind of case. So I went all out with pens. So I get 10 pen case here. And just to give you an idea of how pens fit in here, first of all, I got this huge Asvine 2000. Look at that. I even got some space. This is the Asvine P20. This is that Montefiore 845 that mimics or clones the custom Marucci. I've got the Ongdian D5, which is a huge pen as well. Fits really, really nice. What else have I got that I can put in here? This is that new Jinhao, I forget now if it's 85 or 58, I forget. But it's a nice size. It's approximately the same size as a Lamy Safari. then we could just add, let's see if this big pen, this is a huge Ranga Splendor. I just want to see if it fits. Just barely fits there. But we'll see if it closes. What else have I got? Let me just see. Oh, I can put in this J16 from Asvine. I've got a Majon. No, this is a Fanbu pen. What else have I got? Oh, yes, this is the Benovel pen that I reviewed or that I showed you last week, along with my Asvine V126. I'm curious to see what happens with this huge pen. May have some difficulty. I don't know. Oh, look at this. Okay, we'll close that in. Perfect. Now, it is, as you can see, there is some bulging there that I have to be careful with, but I trust that, it can take it. On the other side, the same thing. The bulge comes from that big Asvine. Maybe it'll stretch and eventually it'll get scratched up and all the rest of it. The reason why I chose black is because this type of pen I'm going to use when in very formal settings. And that formal settings, I'm a lawyer, a litigation lawyer, so I go to court. I think that's where I'm going to use it. It's nice to impress your adversaries, your clients, your witnesses, and of course the judge. He's going to see this and he's going to be curious, I'm sure. Or this is also good around a kind of a boardroom setting. You take this out and people wonder what you're doing. It's your weapons, right? So, in court here in Quebec, we're very formal. We're French system, and we've got to wear, a court gown. It's a black gown that you see some graduation students, for example, wear, but we have to wear a white shirt with a high collar and a nib. It's a little bit like the British system, except we don't wear the wig like the English do. We're more on the French style. So there you have it. And those gowns are required every time you're before a judge with witnesses. And if you don't have one, he doesn't see you and doesn't recognize you. So very formal. So you know what? Formality goes with formality. I'm going to make sure that this pen case forms part of it. So there you have it. Beautiful, just a beautiful, beautiful pen case. So I thought I'd show you that before I show you my pen haul. Be right back. Okay, so we're back for the pen haul. What pens do I have for you this week? I've got 3 for you. 2 Chinese pens and 1 beautiful Italian pen. So 2 what I would term inexpensive pens and 1 which is a little more pricey. So the first one I'd like to show you is this one. This is not a new offering from Majon, actually Moonman. This is the M1000 that I realized I did not have in my collection. It attracted my attention principally because of the wood barrel and the wood cap. As you know, I'm collecting wooden writing instruments or writing instruments made out of wood lately, and this of course caught my eye. Beautiful, just a beautiful pen. Take a look at the nice finial. It is kind of Mont Blanc 149-ish. It does have a similar sort of design, but the details are different. The cap is different. The finial, it's got some decorative, and it's kind of pointy there. A nice. How's the functional? Kind of stiff but functional. I like the band. The band is kind of 3-dimensional with Moonman at the center. In the body, you can see it's got these little steel studs. That's on one side, and here you've got 3 on one side and 3 on the other, which is very, very nice, and it kind of lines up with your with the clip. This is a cartridge converter. It's not a piston. It comes with unfortunately, with a Bach nib. Probably more expensive because of it, but I just don't like these Bach nibs. But we'll take a look at this. Sometimes they surprise me. We'll see if this is one of those or if it's just a stiff, scratching, fine nib. But there you have it. we're going to include this in the weapons for the week. Test it out. In terms of comfort, I think very comfortable. It doesn't post, but you know what? Even if posted, it becomes a little too heavy. Because of that heavy kind of finial there, it just sits there very nicely. It's not slippery, surprisingly enough. You would think it is, but so far so good. Those threads are are so smooth, well done. You know, Majon, okay, they copy, but they make very, very nice quality pens in my view. So there you have it. That's the first one I have to offer for you. What else have I got? Well, this beauty has come in, which is, the Hongdian A10. Again, the wood theme is there. It's got a funny looking new clip that I haven't seen. It's got a kind of two eyes with kind of a beak there. So there you have it, Hongdian, the Hongdian logo there, I think. Nice brown, reddish brown finial. Smallish, thinnest on the thin side. When you compare it to the M100, you see that it is much thinner. Again, wood being the theme of the month for me of collecting these. A7, but this is a new offering. It's a snap. It does come with that new generation nib, which is supposed to be softer, and it's a fine. It is a cartridge converter. There you have the Hongdian. Those Hongdian converters are really nice. Nice, smooth capping there, or twisting. And take a look at this. It's got this very, very efficient magnetic snap. Really nice. I wish the Viscontis were this good. We'll see how long it lasts. The wood appears to be very nice. I think just different colors. I chose this one. So that, you know, it kind of adds to all the wood pens that I've purchased lately. Here are the pure malt ones that I have, along with this other model, along with my Pilot S20. That's the pencil, along with this. It's kind of a huge pencil there. And of course, you saw earlier that I had also, where is it? I put it in my pen case. This Jinao that I've ignored until recently, so we can add, and these will be added to my already existing wood pens. So there you have it, 2 new additions. Be right back with the major piece of writing instrument, folks. Very, very happy with it. I'll be right back. Okay, so here's a surprise. This is a beautiful pen. I was flattered. Somebody reached out to me, a representative of this pen maker, an Italian pen brand, and asked me if I would be interested in reviewing a pen, one of their more recent editions, and I was just flabbergasted and just pleased to do it. It's not going to affect my opinion on the pen, but I was very privileged, and they sent it to me fairly quickly. No pomps and circumstance. Asked for my name, my address, and here's the pen. It comes with this little card announcing the Empire State Pen Show. Wish I could go. I can't. I'm not going to shows this year except for Toronto, where I want to meet up, hopefully, with my friend Shaq MD. We've corresponded, chatted through the internet, but never met. And we kind of promised each other that we would do our best to see each other at the Toronto Pen Show. Hopefully, our professional careers will allow it. I know he's a surgeon, so depending on his schedule, he may or may not be available. I'm trying to plan all my court appearances not on the same long weekend where the Toronto Pen Show takes place, so we shall see. So there's that announcement. This is just the invoice, if you will. And yes, it's Omas. It's an Omas pen, handcrafted in Italy since 1925. Beautiful, beautiful company. I really like OMAS. I've got several of their pens and vintage pens as well. It comes in this cardboard sleeve, hard cardboard box. Seen this before. And this is that classic pen box. Opens up this way, so we'll close that and put that to the side for a few seconds. And here's the pen box. Isn't that nice? Solid, kind of fake leather box, and open the pen, and there it is. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, I had opened this up before. In this sleeve, you lift that, and you've got the warranty card along with an information booklet on the pen, which is a nice touch. Here is the pen. Let's look at it more closely. I will be doing a review of this pen, detailed review. So, but there you have it. Look at the chatoyancy on this. Now, I don't know what the material is. The name of this pen, it's a long one. It's written on the box, OMAS Ogaiva. So it's the Ogaiva model, cocktail series, espresso martini limited edition, brown trim, 14 karat, medium. I asked for a medium. They asked me which one I would want. I have already the Ogaiva, and we'll do a comparison, the Ogaiva demonstrator. So this is a nice addition. There you have it. Isn't that? I think the resin is, I think it's resin, is just beautiful. And that nib is unique. I think may have a vintage that is that duo-toned OMAS nib. So it's both gold and silver. It does have the classic band there with the Greek scrolling, the same thing for the center band. This is a piston filler. So there you have it, just a brief look, but stay tuned for my review. It's going to be just a gorgeous, gorgeous looking pen. And I'm looking forward to doing a more detailed review. I'll have all the information for you. Stay tuned for that. So there you have my pen haul, folks. We're going to do some writing now. We're going to take a look at my next segment. Okay, so for my next segment, let's take a look at currently inked. These are the pens that I inked last week and that I used all week. There are 12 writing instruments here. We're going to see how they did all week. The theme, of course, for those of you who don't remember, were I tried to put together 10 pens, fountain pens, that had Schmidt nibs. So the theme was Schmidt nibs, and I've got number 5 nibs, fine, mediums, and broad, along with a pencil and a roller ball here. So we're going to take a look at how these pens fared all week and what I did with them, if anything. And that will give us also an opportunity to test a little more closely the new notebook. So here's the 20. Yeah, this is the 2020. Whoa, it's not dry, fully dried there. Sorry about that. Let me just get my blotter. And we're just going to get rid of whatever. Okay, here we go. Okay, a little messy, but it is what it is. Okay, so first pen, let's... First pen is this Majon or Moonman M300. Now, I must say, all of the brown ink, or 2 of the pens that I use brown ink, I use that Robert Oster Astorica, I think it is, Rota, or something like that. And I found that ink to be extremely dry, and the nibs kind of dried up on me. So they were not performing as I expected, because with these Schmidt nibs, they rarely dry up. They're always very performing. So this is the Moonman. I mean, you see the ink now writing really nicely just because I needed to prime the feeds for this review. They're all fine nibs, but just to get some writing here. But, you know, when they do work, the nibs are just beautiful. And I found that that brown ink wasn't the best. So there is. That's a number 6 on this pen. Another one of those brown inks was in this ADMOC A08. Again, this is a number 5 nib. Again, I had to kind of prime this feat for this particular show. This Ranga Abhimanyu disappointed me. First time I've had a Ranga pen kind of leak this way. It leaked on me last week when I inked it, or when I took it out of its case to ink it. I noticed it was all full of ink inside, and I thought that it was just, you know, an accident. But first of all, it takes a long screwing sessions. You can see the ink there. It's all over the place. So that, what's happening is that either this converter is defective, or the nib section, the feed, the ink is just not going through. I think the best thing for me to do with this thing is probably to just use it as an eyedropper at this point. It's too bad because the pen design of this Grande Abhimanyu is just perfect, but as you will see, it writes, but you know, it stalls on you because the feed is just not feeding the nib properly. So no use for this pen this week. This is the Visconti Mirage Mythos. Can you hear the much noisier than the Tomo River original? I can tell you that. You can feel the feedback, and some people, you know, appreciate that little bit of feedback in their pens. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. And in terms of performance, I think they're pretty equivalent. Other than that, now this is the Benu Euphoria, which was one of my go-to pens. Really nice. And I think I inked it twice during a week, and I had to re-ink it for this segment. And at that point, I decided to put in Leonardo Emerald, and I think it's a nice match. I mean, the Emerald ink is a little more green than this blue, but it's still a nice match. This is a great pen, by the way. Probably one of my favorite broad-nibbed pens. Little over the top, but very nice. This is my M400. It's got a Schmidt nib indeed, but the Schmidt nib is a flex nib because you can see the cut goes all the way down. So this is the ADMOC M400 with a Schmidt flex nib. Very nice. Used it sparingly just because it's very wet and juicy and maybe a little too wet. This is the ADMOC Duofold, I call it, for lack of a better name. It doesn't have really a name, but it's a Duofold clone. Or maybe a Jinao 100 clone. There you have it. This has a medium nib. But it's a number 6 as opposed to a number 5. So there is the ADMOC. Speaking about juicy pens, this is probably my just too wet of a pen. This is Admach M800, and it's got a broad nib, but it's even broader, and maybe the ink has something to do with it. Very wet and thick, perhaps too much. It writes like a double broad, but so smooth. Even on this Sanson, which got a little more tooth, I find it very, very nice. Now, I have two Scrivener pens, and the Scrivener pens do come with Schmidt nibs, number 5. And I got to tell you, these little pens are a real gem. I recommend them. I know they're meant, they sell them on Amazon. They're meant to be like office pens, but, gift pens. But I got to tell you, because of the Schmidt nib, these pens are just perfect. And both of them were used, quite a bit. This is not the Admach, sorry, the Scrivener. I call it the pocket pen because it's got a kind of a pocket pen design. And this has a medium nib, but that writes like a broad nib. But so nice. So nice. And they do write nice even on the cheap, notepads that are not the most fountain pen friendly paper. But I find that as long as you're willing to just use one side, they're fine. This is the Scrivener. I'm going to just put regular size. This too is a medium, but this one writes like a medium when you compare it to the other one. But again, just perform beautifully. Nothing to say about these pens. I recommend them strongly. Next was my pencil. This is what they call a spoke pencil, a kind of a nice space-looking pencil. So that's the pencil, and I think it's got a spoke, and it's a number 5. I'm trying not to push too hard, otherwise I'll break the nib. And the lastly, the roller ball is this Admach M800. Beautiful resin on this pen. It is a roller ball, and it too has a Schmidt fine refill. There you go. So those are my currently inked for the week. And we're going to see what we're going to do for the coming week. And you know what? I have another nice surprise for you, and I think it's going to be a great week given the theme. Be right back. Now, before we look at the pens for this week, I thought I'd mention this other pen that also formed part of my rotation, at least when I was home. This is the Asvine V126. For those of you who saw my previous episodes, this V126 had me concerned because the ink wasn't flowing down to the section and the feed. But I think I've corrected the situation, and this because of one of the viewers. Actually, many viewers had several suggestions, probably all of them very valid, but they all had something to do with the fact that if when you want to open up the valve, you just have to open up a little bit so that the ink goes through. If you open it up too much and draw out this section, this rubber top here, too much into the body of the pen, that there's a tight fit there, and the ink won't go through. So you've got to be very careful. Another suggestion was that maybe there is something wrong with that rubber and I should just, clean it out and kind of lubricate it and make sure it goes up and down and all the rest of it. But I found that so long as I kept that valve just a little bit opened, I kind of solved the situation. So I'm glad that it was, user error as opposed to a defect in this Asvine, because I've never really had a problem with any Asvine pen. So there you have it. It's just good news. It's working just fine. Thank you very much. I thought I'd mention that. Now, what about pens for next week? Well, here's the surprise that I have for you. Another theme, let me just move this to the side for a second. And here are the pens. Wow. Let me tell you. Here's the theme. The theme is, because you'll never guess, the theme is gold fine nibs. So my favorite gold fine nibs, other than this one, we're going to add this to the mix. This is a Cypress Micarta. This is a Schaefer Legacy 2, a Scribble La Dotta. This is my beautiful Grail, the Grail pen in my view, in my collection. This is a Dolce Vita, Delta Dolce Vita oversized original, not the remakes. This is another Ogaiva. You'll see it's a similar to the pen I just received. This is the Ogaiva Demonstrator. Speaking of Ogaiva, this is an Ogaiva Vintage Extra. This is a Aurora 88 with a vintage fine nib. This is the Aurora Optima Flex Fine, the Visconti Master or Opera Master, the big version. This is the Visconti Homo Sapiens, an Aurora Talentum Rollerball, and of course you saw this Moonman M1000 that we'll be able to test in my writing samples in just a few seconds. So without any further ado, let's get another page and do some writing. Now for the paper for this particular samples, I thought I'd do the, let me just do a little bit of a close-up here. I'd use the originals just so that I could feel the difference and maybe describe it to you while I'm at it. Okay, the first pen, this Cypress Micarta. These Cypress pens have these beautiful, this is an 18 karat nib, not expensive at all, I got to tell you. And they just write just beautifully. Take a look at their site. You can spend hours on the Cypress site looking for all kinds of pens, all kinds of materials. Next, Schaefer Legacy 2. Yeah, folks, I got to tell you, there is nothing like Tomoe River Original. I'm sorry, but this beautiful inlaid nib, it's just the right amount of feedback, the right amount of smoothness. It's not smooth, or like a Rhodia or Clairefontaine, which I find kind of slippery. It does give you a little, it does give you that beautiful feel, but the ink just flows on this paper. It's just a shame that, but I've got so much of this paper that I think I have enough for a lifetime, which I'm glad. This is the Scribble La Dotta. And this has a fine flex nib. One of my favorite pens. Looking forward to them coming out with a new model. They have kind of this model in many, many, many different colors and materials. and then the Puma, but that's it. I was in touch with them. They're, I want them to, they said they would send me a pen of their new model, but I think it's a little late. I got to touch base with them again and find out what's going on. This is Delta Dolce Vita, my pen. The oversize. And it's got a huge, beautiful number 8, 18 karat nib. I'm going to have some fun with this pen this week. I might just leave it at home, not bring it to the office, because, God forbid I get it stolen or I forget it somewhere. I'm not in court these days, so I might just leave it for my home use. This is the Omas Ogaiva demonstrator. $14K fine nib. Probably one of my favorite fine nibs. Writes so nice. It's got just enough spring to it. Typical of Omas, I would say to you. This is a Omas vintage. They call it an extra. I think it's probably Omas extra. I'm not sure what generation this is, if it's the newer or the older. I should look it up, because I've discovered that they used this cotton resin that kind of shrank on you. And some people had difficulty capping them, and it caused a mess. But I got to tell you, this pen is not a problem for me. And some of the earlier versions were actually celluloid, so I don't know which one I have. This is an Omas Extra, but this is an 18 karat fine nib. Again, just the right amount of softness to it. Nice little pen. Little smallish. This is my Aurora. And these pens, I haven't used these pens in months, and they just write. That's the big, big difference. Aurora 88. But I'm calling it the vintage fine nib. By vintage, I just mean it's an older version. What I mean by that is, can you see that nib? Very pointy. And the fine nibs were these nibs were so pointy that they would spring easily. So Aurora modified them to make it just slightly less pointy here on the sides. When I originally bought this, I thought I had a flex nib because it's so springy, but that's not the case. But I got to tell you, one of my favorite pens. And it's just the right size. Classy. Gold trimming. Beautiful. This is the Optima, smaller, but caps so nicely that the pen is just fabulous. And it is the Aurora Optima, and it's the fine flex. It's not a big flexor, not like the flex nibs that we're used to, but it's very, very, very springy. Very springy, very soft. I'm going to have so much fun writing with this pen this week. Okay, next, that's motor. Visconti Opera Master. This is a thinner, finer line. This is 18 karat or 14? 18 karat. So it's an 18 karat. This I'm going to use where I need to be, write very small. because it's much finer. In fact, it is much finer than the Visconti nib that's in my Homo sapien. You'll see that in a minute. There's just thicker line, just slightly thicker. This is an 18 karat fine. It's just a little bit wetter than the Opera Master, I would say to you. So this is, again, another gorgeous pen. This is the Talentum Rollerball Aurora. It's got an Aurora refill and is a fine refill. Writes so nicely. One of the few roller balls that write almost like a fountain pen. Very nice. Oh, okay, let's do some writing with this Bach, which is a downer. I just don't like Bach nibs, but let's hope that this surprises me. It's got, I put in here Leonardo purple, and I had a hard time filling it. I had to, keep filling and going up and down, trying to draw ink in that feed, in that converter. I don't know if the converter is defective or I was doing something wrong, but I finally managed to get it. Let's just see how this nib does. So this is the Moon Man. Wow, much nicer than I anticipated. Light wood, I forget what they call it because it comes in different shades or color of wood, some darker than others. The nib is the Bach fine. Unfortunately, it's a bit too stiff, but it is fairly smooth. But that's the difference between this nib and the nibs I just showed you. It just doesn't give you that writing experience. But it's not to say that it doesn't write. It's just a nail. That's, I guess, the only way to and some people like that. Some people like the fact that it's sturdy and fixed and rigid. Personally, I like it when it's there's just a little bit of flex. Now, I'm not going to show you what this thing writes, how this thing writes, because I think I'm going to do a separate review for the new Dieman A10. Stay tuned for that. I did want to just show you how this Beneville did all week. I used this at home. Whoops. Yeah, dried up on me. No, it's okay. Not bad. Certainly softer than that Bach nib. And this is just a generic Chinese nib. Nothing special there. But still holding up. I like to kind of revisit my recent purchases just to see how they're doing. And I thought I'd show you that one as well. So there you have it. Those are going to be my pens for this week. And you know what, folks? Stay tuned for the next segment. Okay, so the next segment is YouTube reviews. What have I got to suggest for you? Well, first of all, in terms of other reviews, I have 2 videos. The rest, there's not much there that I thought where information or stuff that I haven't seen. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but kind of slow. But I have Fudefan, which I'm a great fan of. He does just great stuff. The way he presents it, his voice, I think he's Japanese, and his editing is just top notch. He did a long review because he had done, a short reviewing the HOBONICHI 2026. He's done a a more longer version. So if you want to take a look at his opinion on the new HOBONICHI 2026, I think that at the end he's got some good words for it. Take a look at that, and you might be informed, especially if you're interested in acquiring the HOBONICHI 2026. I mean, he's one among many reviews, but I find them very, very on point and very good, so recommended. Another Asian site, I think Asian because I'm not sure again if it's Korean or Japanese. I think it's Korean. Dafyo Stationery, but it's dubbed in English. He reviews all of the new writing instruments, and they focus more on ballpoints and mechanical pencils and pen cases, that sort of thing, for the Asian market, I think, where it's popular there anyway. But some of the more popular products as of September 2025, and he reviews several, and there may be some things in there that might, attract you. And so I thought that review is right on point. In terms of my own YouTube fountain pen therapy, well, you've got last week's recap, which is always informative no matter when you watch it, along with my dip pen collection and my favorite dip pen video where I review a bunch of dip pens. It wasn't as popular as I would have wanted to be, but I think it's a resource, kind of a podcast sort of review that I'm sure later in the months, if somebody keys in dip pen, that review will come up and hopefully will be informative for some people who are wondering about dip pens. There is also one more thing that I'd like to mention, and that is that for last couple of recaps, I've realized that I've had to eliminate a lot of my segments because the video is just too long, and it breaks my heart because there's the segments I've kind of taken out are the Q&A with my viewers, the commentary from my viewers, some of the editorials, the follow-ups of other different pens to see how they're performing since my original reviews. I've had to eliminate all of that, otherwise the video would be too long. So I thought that I would introduce a new podcast. And God forbid, I don't want anybody to get excited because I'm not sure I'll be able to keep that kind of podcast going every week, but certainly periodically. And I don't know what I'm going to call it, but it's going to be something like Fountain Pen Therapy Q&A or something like that, where I'm going to answer your questions or your comments. And there's a lot of great comments and suggestions about different pens and how to replace nibs and tricks of the trade that I would love to share with you if you have not seen them in the commentaries. And I'm going to kind of, accumulate them and then put them all out there and do a separate podcast. And they're going to be a lot of fun because we're going to be talking about inks, and talking about paper, different pens, different suggestions from other viewers. I'm going to revisit some of the pens that I've already reviewed just to see how they're doing. Have some editorial comments that I would like to add that I just don't have the time to do. So all of that would be a new podcast. Is it going to be weekly? I don't know. Bi-weekly or, twice a month, once a month? We'll see. What do you think? Do you think that's a good idea? If it is, let me know. If it isn't, let me know. If you have any other suggestions, let me know. Goulet Pens does a Q&A. I think he does it weekly. Nothing prevents me from taking the same questions and giving you my opinion if I don't have questions already from my viewers. Now, I'm not going to promise that I will do that every week unless I have my therapy requires it. So there you have it. That's maybe something new coming for my Fountain Pen Therapy channel. That's it. That wraps up my recap for September 21, 2025. I hope you've enjoyed that. Please enjoy your pens. Please subscribe, free subscription if you haven't done so. It helps the algorithm and it helps support the channel. Be well, enjoy your pens. It's autumn. Autumn is coming, fresh air, get out there. I know us fountain pen fanatics stay home and write with these pens all the time, but we need some fresh air, we need some exercise. It's good for the mind, it's good for the body, and then when we come back home with a nice tea, we can write our journals, ink our pens, and swatch our inks. So there you have it, folks. Have a great week. Ciao and be well.